Good evening, fuckers. We are back with the next Train Simulator Classic request video. This one is another request from MikkDC, and yeah, it's a request that, well, certainly train-wise I was expecting. So this one is starting at Liverpool Lime Street, and the final destination will be Leeds. But we have a few stops on the way. It is something of an express run, but yeah, we are stopping at Warrington Central, Manchester, Piccadilly, Stalybridge, Huddersfield, and finally Leeds. As far as the specifics, it's spring, it's the one clear day in this part of the country of the year, and we're leaving at 1 PM. And as far as the train itself, it is the Class 45, which I got quite recently, well, yesterday in fact, with 7 Mark II coaches. So yep, that is the setup. It's all pretty standard stuff. Obviously it is a you know, a multi-route or multi-DLC you know, journey. Not a problem. I've said several times I have no issue with that. If I can link up the routes, then yep, by all means feel free to ask for it. Right, let's get this one underway. So here we are. So here is our Class 45, the Peak Loco, and yep, our 7 Mark II carriages. Mark IIs were a significant improvement over the Mark Is. So yep, there she is. Let's get the lights sorted out while we're here. It's yeah, it is literally a case of switch them on. Have a look around the cab. You can see that yeah, it's pretty basic. It does really look like a sort of hybrid between a Class 47 and a Class 37, which is a pretty accurate description of this thing actually, but you know, considering the design of the front here, it is actually quite a clear view from the cab itself. So right, let's get underway. As soon as the brakes come off. The brakes are a bit slow to release, but there we go. Right. So our first stop is Warrington Central. So we got a few miles yet before we are, you know, stopping. So from here to Manchester Piccadilly is just shy of 35 miles. As we enter the hellish looking way out of Liverpool Lime Street station. Once we emerge from this, yeah, sort of like darkened pit area, we'll go into a bit of the history of the Class 45, because it has a bit of a checkered history. It couldn't have got off to a worse start, really, but somehow, almost against all odds, it managed to redeem itself. It does have quite the interesting story. So we're into a 40 mph section. Let's get some throttle. Unfortunately, this 40 mph section is fairly short. We dropped down to 30 again in less than half a mile. Well, that's 30 is because we're approaching Edge Hill Station, but we will not be stopping there. In fact, yeah, let's treat it as 30 from here. And we're on a 1 in 93 uphill section, so I certainly didn't need a brake for there. So that is why the 30, yeah, the max speed reduction to 30 was there, crossing on the points. We finally emerge into unbroken daylight. And yeah, just got caught out by the gradient change. And we have another speed reduction here, which I've reacted too slow. Oh Jesus, that was close. I was convinced I'd reacted far too slowly to it, but no, we just, I do mean just, got our speed down in time. Now, even though it doesn't appear on the HUD, I am pretty confident that this 25 mph limit will go sooner. Well, it's now up to 30. We have the 80 mph limit coming up in about half a mile, as we pass one of the biggest heaps of shit on the British railway network, the Class 142 Pacer. I mean, I dare say the time will come where I end up getting a request to do one of those things. Yeah, I'm eagerly awaiting that one. Alright, so we are going to be joining the main line. And that's when our speed will actually shoot up. In fact, I think we carry on the side here. You can see we're on a fairly sort of sharp curve by railway standards. So yeah, we need this line to straighten up before we can accelerate up to 80. As it is, I have lost quite a bit of speed, so we'll at least get us back up to 30. So, the Class 45, yeah, I mean, its intro was a bit of a disaster. So British Rail, you know, they'd started their modernisation plan as we now hit the 80 mph section. And what they wanted was a locomotive that used standard parts, so the maintenance was cheap and straightforward, and you know, any repairs, any replacement parts that were needed could be done, you know, easily. And you know, and it was able to, you know, be a good all-rounder, you know, excel at everything. And all of the regions went away with this sort of design brief that British Rail had, and all of them pretty much ignored the main thing about it, which was that it could run everywhere and do any role. All of them basically designed a loco that was ideal for their region and their region only. That's how we ended up with, like, the diesel hydraulics, for example, in the down in the southwest. You know, the 42, the 35, and the 52. And I mean, let's be fair, they were decent locos for their time, but yeah, they were very much designed for their region, and not a moment's thought had gone into running them in any other regions. Now the 45, it wasn't exactly designed purely for one region. It could work almost anywhere. It was well designed in that regard, but it did not use standard parts, far from it. I mean, we're not talking Deltic levels of you know, difficult parts, but yeah, there were very few like standard parts used. I'm gonna have to start braking here. We've got a big old drop to 20 mph coming out just as we pass Liverpool South, or Liverpool Parkway I should say. Yeah, so we're being diverted onto another line. That's why that 20 mph is coming up. So yes, the Class 45 did not yeah, have anything like the amount of standard parts that British Rail wanted. They also wanted Type 1 or Type 2 locos, and the Class 45 is a Type 4, which greatly restricted the areas that it could run. You know, it was pretty much, yeah, here's the design brief and we will just ignore everything written on it. And by the time it, yeah, they'd built the what was effectively the prototype. Yeah, it was extremely overweight. The loco weighs somewhere in the region of 136 tons, so yeah, it was undeniably a Type 4. It was somewhat down on power as well, especially for the weight of it, and also the weight was not very evenly distributed. So to get around that, they had to change the bogie configuration, and instead of being a regular Coco locomotive, it became a 1 Coco 1, which again further restricted where it could run. So yeah, so many aspects of the design brief just not, it was as if they just did not even take any of it into consideration, and they just built the loco that they wanted to build. And because of all that, a lot of people felt that the Class 45 was living on borrowed time. And to be fair, it was for quite a while. But then it got rather lucky. The whole series did, because there were 3 classes, Class 44, 45 and 46. They all look identical, but yeah, the differences were also like internal, like engine power and you know, mechanical features and things like that. But yeah, then it got a bit of luck, because around I think it was somewhere in around like the 60s and 70s, the East Coast Main Line and the West Coast Main Line were doing really well. Well, really well by British rail standards in the 60s and 70s. But there was one region, namely the Midlands Main Line, that was not doing well at all. So much so that it was facing significant sort of cost-cutting measures, possibly even closing the whole thing down. Not just the Midlands Main Line, but also the entire Chiltern line as well. It was all facing, like, you know, scrap. They needed better trains, and no one was prepared to come up with one for whatever reason. And so, because the 44s, 45s and 46s were pretty much facing a chop for the areas that they had been made for, they were given a sort of trial run on the Midlands Main Line. And they were a great success there. So these trains pretty much on their own saved the entire Midlands Main Line, the Chiltern line, and saved themselves from the Cutler's Torch. So you can't help but admire them for that. I mean, I will freely admit I'm not a big fan of the Class 45, largely because its appearance. I don't like the sort of like really short, stubby sort of front nose part. I mean, I love that design on the 37, on the 40, on the 55, because the size of it suits it. It looks great. But on this, it looks shit because it's too short. It also reminds me a bit of the Class 23, I think it's a 23, the infamous Baby Deltic. But it's now that the Class 40 is no longer available for this game. It's the only 1 Coco 1 train that you can get, you know, for Train Simulator Classic. So I thought, okay, right, I'll get it. And I am particularly glad that I did, because okay, it's not a great looker. Well, I don't think it is anyway, but it drives fantastically. It's such a good train to drive. So whether you are a fan of the Class 45 or not, it's a great addition to your loco fleet in this game because of how well it drives. It's such a, it just really is a really good train to drive. The throttle is responsive. Top speed of this thing is 90, but with us carrying 7 passenger cabins, I suspect we are very close to its limit, not just the line limit of 85 here, as we have a Widnes station coming up. But I mean, 90 mph is a pretty decent speed, especially for a loco of this you know, age. And for the most part, its acceleration rate is pretty good. The brakes are extremely responsive. The only sort of like slight issue with the brakes is that once you pulled into a station, and so you've built up quite a lot of brake pressure, it is quite slow to release it. That is about the only issue that it has. So yeah, very highly recommended loco for this game. And if you are like MikkDC, who requested this vid, and you are a fan of the Class 45, then you really do need to get this one. This is a loco DLC that you've got to have. It does have career scenarios on this line, actually, on the Liverpool to Manchester route. So if you have this route, even more reason to get it. Right, let's get some speed up because we've dropped nearly 10 mph here. Thank you for Pancras station is next, about 1¼ miles. I'm fairly sure that Warrington is the next station. We've already passed Widnes, and like so many people who are from, you know, the south of England and doesn't know this area very well, I just know them all as rugby league towns. But I do seem to recall that Warrington is not that far away from Widnes, and we've already been through Widnes station, so I think, yeah, Warrington is coming up next. So here we are at Sankey for Pancras station. You got a bit of a speed reduction coming up here, and I am fairly sure this 50 and then the 40 there, that's the approach to Warrington Central station. I mean, I've braked way too early and way too heavily. This thing was still, I mean, it's still over ½ mile away now. And yeah, I've already been braking for it, so yeah, way too early. So yeah, Warrington Central is the next station, so we will be stopping there on this leg of the trip. This is the only stop until we reach Manchester Piccadilly. I think I did fuck up a bit with this setting up this route, because yeah, I've set Manchester Piccadilly as the terminal, yeah, the terminus. But I think Manchester Victoria was an option as far as where I could stop on this route. And that, of course, is where part 2 starts. So, for the sake of this video, I'm driving it as far as Manchester Piccadilly, and then while I'm having a tea break, another driver is just moving this train on to Manchester Victoria before we begin the trans-Pennine section of this journey. Right, and going back to the history of this loco for a bit, granted it wasn't the class 45s, but it was a class 46, but I think a lot of people, especially those of my age, or around my age, remember this train for the nuclear, yeah, the nuclear waste safety demonstration that was used. They had one of the nuclear waste cars, and they deliberately crashed a class 46 into it to prove how strong it was and how safe it was. Right, everyone off, and everyone who's coming on is now on. So that was Warrington Central. Couldn't get anywhere near the entire train on there, but never mind. Right, so we're on a 75 mph section now, which is good stuff. Let's put it straight at full throttle. In fact, we have a speed reduction in just under a mile down to 65. So yeah, I'll take it up to 65. It's actually quite short, and then it goes up to 85. But yeah, we're going to hit that 65, I think, before we even reach 65 mph. So yeah, we'll just treat it as a 65 mph section. We can be accelerating to 85 as we go through Piccadilly station, which is just under a mile away. And yet another piece of shit pacer comes past. So we're in the 65 mph zone. So we're now entering the 85, and now we're in it. So timed it very well, actually. We entered it just as we were about to start speeding. So anyway, that was Piccadilly station. I think we've got quite a few sort of small commuter stations coming up, and they're all pretty close to each other, but we're just going to be tearing through the lot. So Birchwood is the next station in a mile. It's not what you would call a scenic locale, but there's certainly a lot to see. So, yeah, full thrash while we are going through Birchwood. And that was it. Not a particularly interesting station, but then these small commuter stations never are. So we need to start coasting a bit. Glazebrook station is coming up in a mile and a half. In fact, it looks like we are coasting without losing any speed, maintaining 85.6 mph. I'm perfectly satisfied with that outcome. So there we are, that was Glazebrook Station. Irium is the next one, just under a mile away. Third man doing his ice cream rounds again. So here we are at Irium. We are losing speed as we were as we approached it. A bit of an incline on the way. There we go. And again, yeah, 1 in 135 uphill section. We then have a downhill section which is probably going to be roughly the same gradient as we approach Flixton station. Manchester Piccadilly itself is only 8.5 miles away from here. Maybe someone can tell us what that was. That the Manchester Ship Canal we just crossed over? Okay, so we are picking up speed on this 1 in 135 downhill section. We'll carry on effectively coasting, 39% throttle. I genuinely can't tell if that was a 66 or a 59 that went past. It's more likely to be a 66. So we got, yeah, 3 stations in very quick succession coming up here. So here we are at Flixton. Another, yeah, purely functional blink and you miss it commuter stop. So next is Chasson Road. Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? And then we have Urmston, more or less right on top of the previous station. So yeah, there we are, Urmston. Pretty much identical to the previous 3 stations, at least. So a little bit of a gap, and then we have Humphrey Park, which is quickly followed by Trafford Park. And Manchester Piccadilly is now less than 5.5 miles. At the rate we're going, that's still, you know, possibly about another, you know, 15 stations we will be passing. So there is Humphrey Park. Class 56, but it's just the light train. Didn't see that very often. So Trafford Park right there. I mean, I can only assume that is as in Old Trafford. I mean, yeah, the ground's right up ahead. When it comes to Old Trafford, I'm much more interested in the cricket ground than the fucking football station. Manchester United, they can get fucked. So it's yeah, the Man U football ground stop that we just went past. In fact, we completely bypassed it, which suits me fine. And once again, I've braked too early and too hard. So we'll get a bit closer. Okay, so now we're finally in the MPH section. On a 1 in 100 uphill section, pretty much from here to Deansgate Station. So it's now 1 in 188. Trouble is, if I put any throttle on at all, our speed goes up. I can't, I can't just hold it at the speed that it's currently at. It would appear actually, yeah, Manchester Oxford Road station coming up after Deansgate. I think that was the other option for Manchester stations, not Manchester Victoria, so I might actually be okay with my choice of stopping at Manchester Piccadilly. So into a 25 mph section. And through Deansgate station. So we are actually now in a 35 mph section, but we're here for such a short time before it then goes down to 20. So you're at Oxford Road station. So it's now a 1 in 100 uphill. It's really not worth me trying to get up to 35 mph, because by the time we've got anywhere near it, yeah, this 20 is coming up here, and then yeah, we have Manchester Piccadilly station itself. So here we are at Manchester Piccadilly platform 13. Making sure the entire train gets on the platform, which is done with consummate ease. So we will yeah, take our tea break here while my co-driver takes the train on to Victoria, and then the journey will be resumed from yeah, from there. Right, we are at Manchester, Victoria, and my number 2 driver is not my favourite person because he got us here and I haven't even had the chance to take one sip of my cup of tea. Nevertheless, just letting the passengers get on board. There we go. And now we are all set for the much more challenging part of this route, the trans-Pennine section. So Leeds is 43 miles away. But between us, yeah, we have the Pennines, which are certainly going to provide a bit of a challenge for the old class 45. So let's see how we do as we pull away from Manchester, Victoria. Some full throttle. We're on a bit of an uphill section as well, and it's about to get a lot steeper. Yeah, we're now on a 1 in 59 uphill climb. So yeah, this is really impacting on our acceleration rate already. Now it's a 1 in 47, so we're now in a 50 mph zone, but yeah, we are not accelerating at all despite being at full throttle. In fact, we are losing speed very slightly, but we are. As it is, I have to throttle down because we have a 30 mph section fast approaching. Then we have one of these constant garbled ones that keep cropping up on this route. I've no idea what that speed is supposed to be. Anyway, let's try and reduce our speed loss somewhat. In fact, we are actually picking up speed now. Almost too much. So we are in the 30 zone. So much that we are now speeding. So 60 mph section fast approaching, and then that's quickly followed by a bump up to 70. Both are very welcome. And then another increase up to 75 in a mile. So we are going to be able to get some decent speed up any second. Here we go. trusty old 158 there. Not the most exciting train, but hey, at least it's not a fucking pacer, so... So we are in the 75 mph zone. The gradient has levelled out quite a bit, not completely, and it is going to get steeper in about a mile or so, or actually no, less than a mile. So yeah, we are now on a 1 in 135 uphill climb, and this climb goes on for a while. We are still gaining speed. It's at a very slow rate, but yeah, I'd much rather see our speed go up than down. So next station, Ashton-under-Lyne. We're not stopping there. Our first stop is at Stalybridge. Well, I should say our next stop is Stalybridge. As we got a speed decrease coming up, we could do without that. Really do with maintaining the speed we have. I mean, it has gone down a bit, but yeah, we're getting it back. Good old 47 there. So we'll coast for a bit and Stalybridge station is a mile and a half away. There we are through Ashton-under-Lyne station. Our next stop is Stalybridge, where yeah, we will actually be stopping there. It's not just the next station. It is an actual stop. So into the 60 zone. Got just over half a mile before that becomes a 35. We need to be braking slightly anyway for the upcoming station. So we are fine as far as the speed limits go. I mean, I have it on fairly good authority that Stalybridge is a major station. I mean, I would never have thought of it as a major station, but Apparently it is. So that 47 there has probably got a bit of a weight ahead of it. No problem getting the entire train on this platform. Right, so anyone getting off here? It really doesn't look like it, but someone it looks like that person down the end there is fucking drunk. They're staggering about all over the place. Mind you, I walk like that and I haven't really touched alcohol in 15 years, so. Well, one passenger certainly timed that well. Right. Once the brakes are released, we'll get back underway. So I think we got a while before we reach our next stop, which is Huddersfield. Cannot see a fucking thing. Well, that would certainly explain why I couldn't see any. That's worked out very nicely, so we're now in the 65 mph zone. We're only 1 mile an hour off speeding prior to that. So Mossley Station coming up in 1.5 miles. Just hopefully we'll be able to give that some full thrash as we go through there. So here we are at Mossley Station. Yeah, very much another blink and you miss it station there. So we need to start throttling down a bit here. At Greenfield, next station in 1 mile. Another pacer in there. Very nearly started speeding then. Right, well it looks like we are going to be diverted up ahead. We'll be doing as little as 15 for a bit. But if we were being diverted, then that signal that we just passed would have been flashing, so yeah, I don't know what is happening there. Anyway, one thing I do know we need to do is start braking rather heavily. Maybe not quite so much because we've still got 3/4 of a mile. Okay, that red signal's yeah, nothing to worry about. So yeah, I mean we're going unbelievably slow, but we have to. Line speed is dictating that, but also, yeah, why is that speed limit? Okay, so we passed it, but it's saying no, we don't have to do that. Well, let's start getting our speed up a bit, or a lot. So we're now on an 85 mph section. I mean, at least the ground here is somewhat flat, so our acceleration rate is going to be okay. Which is a good job, because yeah, we need it to be. So I can't remember the name of this tunnel, but yeah, unsurprisingly, it is the longest tunnel on the trans-Pennine route. It's got to be something like 3 miles long. So it's about the same length as the Severn tunnel, which has appeared in a few vids. In fact, I have a feeling this is actually even longer than the Severn tunnel. Not by a lot, but yeah, I think this is longer. We're now reaching 70, but yeah, we've got a reduction to 45 coming up in a mile, and then fuck only knows what that's supposed to be. Marsden station is about 1.25 miles away. Okay, let's start reducing our speed for so I've got no, okay, it's 60. So it clears up when you get so close to it. If it was a drop to, well, almost anything, I wouldn't have had the chance to react in time. Another good old 47 passing us, and then a shitty old 142. So, Marsden Station, we can get some throttle up here. So we're now in a 60 mph zone. We are now also on quite a steep downward section, 1 in 104 downhill. It's a good job the speed limits are going up as we go down. now in a 70 zone, and very soon we'll be in an 85 zone. There we go. So yeah, our speed is still increasing, even if we are coasting. So it's to return the odd controlled braking as we approach Stalybridge, or is it Stalybridge station? So certainly no full thrash as we go through here. Oh yes, this is the one where the two platforms are nowhere near each other. In fact, our speed, although it's going up, it's not going up at anything like the rate I was expecting it to, so I'm quite okay with that. Nice views around here. So, dropping down to 70, followed by another of these what the fuck is that ones. I think it's going to be 60 again, so we'll treat it as a reduction to 60. Yeah, as always, braking far too hard and far too fast. Or far too early, I should say. Huddersfield station is the is next. That is our next stop. I mean, this has not cleared up at all, so I'm hoping my guess is right. This is one of the reasons why I've so far not attempted any of the, yeah, it is 60, but yeah, I've not attempted any of the career scenarios on this route yet. So, yet another tunnel. Once we emerge out the other side, we are practically at Huddersfield Station. Okay, the next bit of it then. So we'll get our speed down to 25. Yeah, there's 1 in 95 downhill section means that yeah, we're picking up a lot of speed that we really would rather not be picking up. I'm pretty sure we will be able to get all of the carriages on the platform here. Yeah. So I can't see any of the doors open. Well, we'll give it a few seconds. No, there's no sign of any of the doors. I mean, if it was the other side, yeah, no problem, but yeah, we're not seeing them here. Okay, let's just say no one wants on or off here. So that's our last sort of stop along the way. So the next stop is the terminus at Leeds station itself. Okay, into a 40 zone, let's throttle up. We're very soon into a 70 zone. Yeah, our fan here seems to have stopped moving. I'm not entirely sure why. Dayton station coming up in a mile and a quarter. I think this downhill section is about to get steeper. Yeah, our speed is increasing as a result, so slow it down just a touch even. That's a parcel, that's a big old parcel train, that 47. So, I mean, another, what the fuck is that? Well, I'll start braking, but I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm, like, supposed to reduce my speed to. Yeah, I'll take it to 55 and just hope for the best. That's all I can do. And keep a lookout for morphos boards. And I can't find any. So, right, whatever speed this is, it's 60. Well, we can throttle up a bit now anyway. It's now back up to 75 again. Yeah, this is not a route for players like me who are very reliant on the HUD. If you're one of those who's good enough that you play the game HUDless, then yeah, you'll be fine with this one. But yeah, using the HUD, it is a rather frustrating experience. So here we are at Mirfield. And then we have Ravensthorpe pretty soon as well. So Leeds is now 12 miles away. We're going to have to throttle down as we are approaching the station, so we'll throttle down now and then we'll give it some max thrash as we go through. Here we are. Jesus Christ, there's nothing of this place. Probably just as well that, yeah, the max thrash thing was completely mistimed because there was nothing and no one there anyway. So we're going to coast for a bit. So Dewsbury Station is next, but it's going to put us on the avoiding line for that. We won't be stopping there. Well, I mean, we weren't going to be stopping there anyway, but yeah, we won't even get the chance. So, yeah, there we are at Dewsbury. Another good old 47 right there. So Batley is the next station, just over a mile away. Right, let's get some speed up. We're on a 1 in 119 uphill climb here, so yeah, we could do with yeah, picking the speed up again. There we go, Batley Station, or at least it was. So we have a speed reduction coming up down to 55 just as we approach Morley Station. Yet again, not a fucking clue what the speed is as we are coming out of it, but then it's back to 75 a little bit after that anyway. Do with braking slightly here, maybe a bit more than that. You know, this tunnel goes on for a lot longer than I thought. There we go, that was Morley. Not a clue what this speed limit is. It's 60, so okay, we're alright. In fact, it's 65. So back to full throttle. By the time we hit 65, we'll be in the 75 zone, so we'll be fine all round. So Cottingley is the next station. It can't be that many more stations to go. Leeds itself is only 4 miles away. Now, of course, we are going to get some FPS drops as we approach Leeds. It is very graphically intensive around there. But I've noticed in some videos anyway that the FPS drop doesn't look anything like as drastic in the videos as it actually is while playing the game. I mean, it is noticeable, no doubt about that, but yeah, it doesn't look as bad as it does while actually playing the thing. So another speed reduction to 50, quickly followed by a 40, and at least I can read those two. Alright, yeah, here we come. So the Leeds area is getting loaded in, and the FPS hit has already started. I think we need to be braking a little harder than we are, but not as hard as we are now. I'll keep going to 40 because, yeah, there's such a small gap between the two. Yeah, the FPS hit is really bad now. That didn't look like a 47. I think it probably was one, but yeah, very different livery to the ones we usually see around here. Got to start braking a bit heavier than we are. There we go. So yeah, we're now in this section where it's echoing like mad, even though we're in, like, you know, completely wide open area. You can start braking pretty heavy here for this 25 section that I nearly ignored. There we are. we are in a 1 in 83 downhill section. FPS now is so bad I wouldn't be at all surprised if it's in single figures. I mean, what kind of setup would you need to have, like, you know, PC wise, to get like decent FPS around here? So we're still on a 1 in 107 downhill section, so yeah, our speed is going to keep going up. I say that and it's now gone down. Okay, let's chance an external shot. So yeah, on the side here the FPS drop is still there, but nothing like as bad. But then we look this way and it's horrendous. You can see all of the buildings and that have been added to the area. Surely they could have cut some of that back so that the performance loss isn't anywhere near as drastic. Anyway, we need to get down to 15. So we want platform 12 east. So this is 12 west. I mean, some of the coaches are gonna have to yeah, stay on 12 west, because neither platforms are long enough for this train, and this was the shortest train that I could have chosen. So there we are. That was Liverpool Lime Street to Leeds in the class 47. 47? Class 45 even. Yeah, class 45. I say, I don't like how it looks, but it is a great train to drive. The routes, I mean, I've said it all before about this trans-Pennine route. The garbled speed limits on the display are properly annoying, and the frames per second absolutely plummets when you reach Leeds station, which is also annoying. But apart from that, it was, yeah, a great run, and only one speeding error. I'll absolutely take that. That's a properly decent job. So there we go. Yeah, Liverpool to Leeds done. So if you have a request or want to make a request, then yeah, click on the link in the description. It will take you to the video where you will see all of the routes and locos that were available at the time of recording it, but also check the update, the pinned comment, where you will find other routes and other locos that have since been added after I recorded that video. and then just bung your request in the comments there, and we'll get it done. Just like this one. So that is, yeah, this one done, and we will see you at the next one.